Hey, welcome to Inspirational Focus. Today we're going to take a look at the Episcopal faith. Stay tuned. Glad you could stay with us. I'm joined with Dr. Craig Klein, deacon of a Episcopal church, and welcome.
Thank you.
We're going
Good to be here.
Talk about, or maybe demystify, or tell us what the differences are between different faiths in the Episcopal Church.
Sure.
And how did you become a deacon?
I became a deacon approximately 15 years ago, and it is one of 3 orders of clergy that are ordained in the Episcopal Church. We ordain bishops, we ordain priests, and we ordain deacons, like me.
Okay.
The closest faith tradition to, in structure and in outward style, would most likely be the Roman Catholic Church, and the same 3 orders, but there are some differences. So, I'll bet you cannot tell me the formal name of the Episcopal Church.
I probably will not do that.
I wonder how many Episcopalians can do this, actually. The real name is the Domestic and Foreign Missionary Society of the Protestant Episcopal Church in the United States of America. There'll be a quiz.
It's a mouthful.
It is, which is why almost no one
Which church do you go to? And then you recite that.
If you recite all of that, most people would say, thank you, nice to see you, and probably move along.
Right.
Because it's a tough one.
What's Episcopal mean, the word? Do you know?
It symbolizes actually a Catholic tradition. There are two ways to interpret Catholic, uppercase and lowercase.
Okay.
So Catholic with a capital C would be the Roman Catholic Church. Catholic meaning a corporate style of worship where people do everything together and follow a set pattern of how worship is done. That's lowercase. That's lowercase.
So one's a style and one's official, or has the governance structure.
That's right. So there's a style, and then there's also a formal title to that.
Because you're not led by the Pope or anybody like that.
No. We do have an ultimate authority who's generally characterized as first among equals. And that is, there are bishops and then there are archbishops that serve over a much larger territory. So the Archbishop of Canterbury in England would be the highest ecclesiastical authority in the Episcopal Church.
Be what the English call the Church of England, C of E?
Yep.
Okay.
So in structure, maybe I should back up and explain structure. We are organized much along the same lines as, say, municipal government or state government, national government. The terminology is different, but the concept is the same. So an individual church is not really referred to as a church. It's referred to as a parish.
Okay.
And so the thing that makes the Episcopal parishes distinct is that they all have red doors.
Okay.
So
all over the world.
All over the world, red doors. And about this shade of red right here. So
that's on my house. That's on my house.
Okay, there you go. You have things to explore, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So from there, we go into a diocese, which would be the equivalent of a state, roughly the equivalent of a state. And then there are regions that exist beyond that, and then we have the national church as well. And so the regions are referred to as province. And so everything just kind of builds up in structure.
So do you report to England?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're separate from that. It's not a...
Yes. There is really no equivalent to the Pope in the Roman structure. The actual governing body, where, forgive the use of the word, where power and structure resides, is the General Convention of the Episcopal Church. I think we have a slide for that. And it has a bishop's hat on it. Okay, there. Okay, see that, the General Convention?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is the governing body of the church. The General Convention only comes together every few years, and when fully there, when everyone is there, it constitutes the largest single truly democratic gathering in the world.
Now, does it move around? Because it says Austin. Okay.
It's Austin, and it's been in Minneapolis and Salt Lake City, so it moves around. There's not necessarily a rabid competition to be the city in the way that, say, countries would vie for hosting the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's not quite that way. But typically, I think the smallest one that was held was in Salt Lake City. Because the city, there are limitations on how many people can gather in one space.
Okay.
So, but literally thousands of people, all with voting capacity, gather in one place.
Yeah, I noticed when you were talking about, I can't remember which position, something about equal, highest among equals, or something like that.
So there are three levels of ordination. What are really the differences between the Roman Catholic Church and the Episcopal Church? Well, the Episcopal Church ordains women, and its clergy can be married. In fact, most of them are. The Episcopal Church is proud that it welcomes everyone, regardless of whatever kind of identity a person wishes to present. And along that line, the Episcopal Church welcomes pretty much everyone, and the Episcopal Church does offer communion at every service presided over by a priest.
Okay.
So the layers are, they're the three layers that I mentioned. One.
So does it matter if you're an Episcopal if you can take communion?
Nope.
Okay, because in the Catholic Church, if you haven't been
Nope, you
confirmed,
can't. That is a difference.
Okay.
That is a difference. If I went in, as clergy, if I went into a Roman Catholic church and presented myself at the rail for communion, it's expected that I would self-identify as not being Roman Catholic. So in that case, I would receive a blessing from the priest. But it does not work that way in the Episcopal Church. If you've been baptized, whenever that was, then you're welcome.
Okay.
And that's how it goes. Other things that distinguish the church are the governing structure. That governing structure where the General Convention creates the rules known as canons and the procedures that people follow. So it's not a terribly efficient system when you get several thousand people in one big room being defined as a stadium or an indoor arena of some sort. But when you get everyone together, voting used to take a long time. Now people have clickers, and you have your clicker and you just pick it up and point it at a receiving area, and votes are pretty quick.
Okay.
Votes are pretty quick. The Episcopal Church really does not espouse any particular political point of view, and it also does not tell people what to think or what to believe. Come together and worship with us is where it's going.
Okay.
And
as I think you said on a previous show that if you go to, Gallipolis and that church, and if you went to one in California or whatever, they will be having the
exact same service.
Right.
Okay, that's right. That's liturgical church, meaning you follow. Again, I lift this book. This book is the Book of Common Prayer. And what this is, as I try to roll the pages for the camera, what this is how to do a service. So every service you can think of at every time of the year, whether it's Easter or Christmas or just any given Sunday, how to do it and the exact language in which to do it can be found in this book.
And it's always in whatever the home language is, whether it's English or Spanish or whatever.
That's right. I've seen this translated into Hawaiian. I've seen it translated into all versions of Chinese, not just Mandarin. And so, but the same thing is everywhere you go. So when you walk into an Episcopal parish, then you'll find dozens, if not more than 100 of these scattered around the
No, it's not a
space.
hymnal.
No, that's another book.
Okay.
That's another one of equal size.
Right. Some of them look like that.
That's
so.
right, they do. So I should...
Let's throw up the, before we get to these, the shield, and talk about some of the symbolism on that.
Sure. Okay. That goes back to antiquity. Remember that at one point shields were routinely used in public services of all kinds, whether they were legal proceedings or knights gathering to lead people forth into doing what have you.
Now, would that be St. George's cross?
That's not bad. How did you know?
It's English. Okay. I'm kind of an Anglophile.
There you go. The symbolism is strength and unity.
Now, the St. George's cross I was talking about is the white with the red cross.
Yes.
And that's like the flag of England.
You can see similarities.
Right.
And you can see real similarities.
And you've got, is it 10 or no?
9.
In 9. 9 crosses in the upper left?
There's original units of structure in the church that I tried to describe earlier, like with provinces and synods and all of that.
Okay.
But that represents the church in the world. And so wherever you go on this planet, you will find that same symbol, just as you will find everything in a Book of Common Prayer.
Okay.
So
does the blue kind of go with the world idea?
Yes.
Okay.
It
like
does.
The oceans, the sea, or
Sure.
whatever.
Exactly. The bishops have a lot of ecclesiastical authority, and they usually clearly preside over dioceses, and then there's another level up from that, provinces. And then we actually have a presiding bishop for all of North America, United States. And his name currently is Michael Curry, and the head offices are in New York City, and then there are regional places as well. All dioceses, right now where we sit in Southern Ohio, is located, not coincidentally, in the Diocese of Southern Ohio. And all dioceses have a city where all of their administrative offices are typically found, and it's where the bishop typically can be found. The term for that is a see, S-E-E, city. And so the see city in the Diocese of Southern Ohio is Cincinnati.
Okay.
Located right in the dead center of downtown near the ballparks.
Okay.
And so bishops preside there. Priests oversee local parishes, and deacons are a servant ministry. So my job is in part to assist the priest during Sunday worship and other services, but also to go out into the world and bring the needs and concerns of wherever I am back to the congregation so that they might actually think about doing something to address that. So at this time of year, this is being recorded just before Thanksgiving, and of course Christmas is coming as well. So activity in most churches tends to pick up significantly at this time of the year. So it's expected that helping others becomes a part of basically what all parishes do, this time of the year especially.
Now, you send out people to other countries to, I don't know, build schools and all those sort of things?
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I have been to Honduras 7 or 8 times now. I sponsor a foster child there, but I also helped build all kinds of things, from schools plural, to a bakery, to a town hall. And the construction method of choice, at least in Central America, is cinder blocks with masonry. And you go and every time I've ever been, half the plane, maybe 3/4 of the plane, consists of passengers who are going down to do mission work. They're from all kinds of denominations, not just the Episcopal Church. They could be anything else you can think of, Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran. And typically young people are also taken because that's their first experience that we live in a collective world and all places on the earth are not exactly equal.
Okay, so you're not competing, or
no,
you're together with all of the other Christian missions.
That's right.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
You can break out on your own to do a special project. I don't know, a water well, but in general, you're the next group that comes in to work on a common project, and so the groups keep coming, and eventually the project is completed after usually a multi-month period of time.
What does the structure mean to you?
I find...
do you have to report to them, or do they tell you what to do, or...
Who are them? Who are they?
The people...
Priests?
From the diocese and
sure.
all the way down.
The structure maintains the possibility, or actual practice, of using something like this, a prayer book, and being able to adhere to the same service wherever you go. And we do in-service, not unlike a teacher, a public school teacher does in-service. Our topics are pretty different, but they all focus on ministry and how to best live out the Christian faith and how to walk that talk in the world. And so we're developed constantly for everything from listening skills to church safety, education, basic spiritual study, whatever it is. And we're trained. So in the Episcopal denomination, that means I've been to seminary. And
how long does that take?
4 years.
Okay.
For me, for a deacon. It takes longer for a priest, and bishops are chosen from among priests. So it's a lot of education.
So does anything in the book change? Do they change that over time, or
this is
that the same as it was in 1900?
No.
Okay.
There's the 1928 prayer book, which contained what would be thought of now in the modern world as archaic language. Language like people would have spoken in the 1700s, 1800s.
Okay.
It's recognizable and followable, but no one really talks in these and thous anymore, and hast. And that sort of thing. So now we have a more contemporary version, came along in my lifetime, and there's always talk of changing it, but that's a multi-year process. By that I mean double digits.
Yeah.
In order to change it, because it's hard to find. When you change word choice, you're changing syntax, and when you change syntax, you're changing the way some people interpret what is being said.
Right. There's lots of arguments amongst English types.
Well, there's a lot of lobbying.
Okay.
At least that's my impression. But it's difficult to find unanimity, particularly when you have a governance structure like we do. But it can be done. But once you produce something, then you put it out there for a general read for several years, that sort of thing, and you keep refining it. And then you. Now,
is there an official Bible that they use?
No. No. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Bible is the Bible.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have stoles, or what do you?
These are stoles.
Okay.
The long, generally white garment that most people recognize that people in a church service would wear. Most people would recognize it as looking like a choir robe. In fact, when I wear mine, I did not bring one because the structure of the space and the size that we have wouldn't let me be able to show that. But those are called albs, and they resemble a choir robe. Some have rope that you tie around it. All of these things have other names, but I'm not going to do a vocabulary quiz.
Right.
So you put that on, and then you put these on. These are stoles. Stoles are color-coded for whatever part of the church season or part of the church year that you are in. So right now we're in Pentecost, so that would be green. And I will do this the best I can, sitting here in my chair. So But this is worn. Most people would recognize this style of thing. So you get the idea. Actually, this drapes way down.
Right, because you've got it doubled.
I've got it doubled over, so it'll go down to your knees. And different times of the year, different things. These particular stoles are from Honduras, and I got them there. And this is Honduras's notion of green. This is their notion of, what do you think?
What?
White.
Oh, okay.
And so it goes. This should be obvious. The stole that the priest wears is something that's draped around both sides. A deacon's stole actually has a stitch in it, and I can sort of show it. So there it is, right there, right there. And this goes over the body, and it's worn like a sash. Okay, it's not strictly a neck adornment stuff. And so we wear these, and
do you only wear them on a day, or is it the whole season you wear the same one?
The whole season. Pentecost, for example, is a very long season. And
from when to when?
Oh gosh.
About, you know.
Well, we're still in it.
Right.
We're still in it. We've been in it. This show is being recorded in late November of 2018. So I'd say for a good 2 months it's been around.
Okay.
At least 2 months. And so this is what we wear. This is what we do.
And when can you wear the Christmas season?
When it's Christmas season.
We
all know when Christmas is actually a 12-day season.
Okay, just the 12 days?
Remember the song, the 12 days? Yeah, most people tend to celebrate Christmas on December 25th, but actually it's 12 days long. So
12 days and ending at the 25th?
No.
Starting at the 25th or amongst it?
Amongst it.
Okay.
Amongst it. And so it's a nice time of year. I should note that these...
And they probably have matching things to adorn the...
Yes, they do. So you will get an altar.
Right, the altar.
And so whatever color the season, let's say Pentecost that we're in right now, the altar on top of it, it might be difficult to see from the congregation's point of view, but these colors run everywhere. All over the altar, the priest wears...
There's probably what, flags and different things?
All of it, yeah. So if you don't remember what season you're in, if you know your colors, assuming you're not colorblind, you know exactly what season you're in. And so it's all part of the structure. The notion is, so kind of corporate worship where everyone is doing the same thing and in the same way. But that's really where the similarities in structure end.
So this is what, Easter? Yes? And you've got, I don't know, what, it looks like candles?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and what would this be?
Altar.
Altar. And the same thing along the other side.
Exactly.
And
which
one's this?
This one, well, I'm going to tell you what these things are.
Okay.
Okay. Every service that's presided over by a priest includes Eucharist, which is to say communion. We use real bread and we use real wine. And so, chalice for the wine. That should be self-evident.
The cross.
Okay. And over here, grapes.
For the wine?
For the wine. Okay, and some of this you can't see. Okay. Another cross, different fashion. Okay. Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end.
Oh, okay.
Okay, highly stylized version of that. And so the wine goes in a chalice and the bread goes on a paten. So there's a whole there's a whole nomenclature that goes with the service. And most people, in my experience in the Episcopal Church, have the services memorized. They've been doing it since they were children.
And these are the services where you would stand and kneel and
That's
sit
correct.
and all these
Yeah,
things.
there is a lot of vertical movement. I'll say it that way. There are times to stand, times to not stand, times to do this.
Okay. But you don't have holy water in, and
We do.
you do? Okay.
But that's rarely used for an entire congregation.
Okay. I mean, not like at the door where you come in.
Actually, it is.
It is? Okay.
And some
It's
people,
been a while since I've been in there.
Some people partake of that, take advantage of having that there. Sometimes the water is scooped up into a kind of dispenser, and people are showered with it as the priest walks by.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Do you use the smoke also, or?
Yep.
Or incense?
Incense. There you go. Yes, the incense is used primarily for high holy services. So we're at Easter, or some other similar feast day, and there's a special person, and that position has a name, who walks along and senses everything. That's actually the verb, to sense. And so they go around the altar, and what they do is that they make the sign of the cross in each direction.
Okay,
So northeast,
north, south.
east, west.
Okay.
So they go around, and it changes the angle that they're doing things.
Is that supposed to clear and
Yes.
consecrate or whatever?
It's to prepare.
Okay.
Properly prepare. And people seem to be of two opinions, at least, as they are for most everything in the Episcopal Church. People who are sensitive to smoke have issues with something that can clearly be smelled even in a large room with a high ceiling. It's quite obvious. You have incense. Other people find it attractive and consider it a special kind of ceremony when it's used.
Right, sort of a blessing or
Yes,
something.
exactly.
I mean, there are other people that use, I think they're called smudge sticks, and they have, they'll clear a room or,
Exactly. It's a similar concept. Yeah.
Okay. Any other things? We got 1 minute left that you would like to get across?
Let's put up a picture really quick. If we've the one about convention. You can find it. There it is. Okay. Bishops wear slightly different clothing, and their color is purple.
Okay.
All bishops wear purple.
Sort of a royalty thing.
That bishops wear purple.
Yeah.
The object on top there is a bishop's hat. It's known as a mitre. It's a stiff construction, and that's also a sign that someone is a bishop. So again, in deference to the structure of the church, I'm grateful for you having me today and giving me an opportunity to tell a little bit about my faith.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Glad to have you here, and we will probably continue this conversation. And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.